Is one of Batman's oldest and closest friends a killer, and if so, what will that mean? For one of the most labyrinthian cases the Dark Knight has ever had to solve, well, let's hop into the pages of Batman issue number 155 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we join this newest story, we actually end up jumping back in time 13 weeks to basically learn about the secret double life of Jim Gordon, Private Eye. For starters, Jim actually hates being a private dick, and I mean, who wouldn't? He mostly ends up doing a bunch of insurance gigs and taking pictures of cheating spouses. It would be enough to make anyone lose faith in humanity, but wouldn't you know it, his biggest case is still yet to be undertaken. A mysterious woman who wanted to remain anonymous and only wanted to hire Jim specifically due to his trustworthiness. You'll be unsurprised to learn that this mystery woman is none other than the mayor's wife, Koyuki Nakano. Here's the surprising thing though, Jim actually did trail the mayor, only to discover that he hasn't become cold and distant to his wife and child because he was secretly having an affair with his secretary, which seemed pretty obvious on the surface. No, he was doing all that stuff because he's just genuinely kind of an asshole. Koyuki is happy to learn the truth, but unhappy about the sad state of her life at the moment. Gordon, though, remains very supportful of her, and in fact, the two keep hanging out long after the case has even been solved. Keep in mind, the relationship wasn't romantic at first. They mostly just chatted, had coffee, and talked about the challenges of being a parent. Things turned, though, however, when Jim actually managed to save Koyuki from a politically motivated kidnapping. It was after that the relationship actually did turn romantic, and man, you know, I never think of Gordon as a sexual character, but I really should because, hey, he has 2 kids and has been married at least twice before, and is maybe one of the last actual moral and upstanding men in Gotham City, though admittedly this current behavior sure doesn't necessarily seem moral. Oh, but the plot thickens even further. You see, Gordon assumed that one of the major reasons Nakano stopped taking his calls and refused to reinstate him as commissioner of the GCPD is because he actually knew about the affair and that making Vandal Savage commissioner was just some last-minute middle finger. Now, as we had learned in the previous issue, Jim was actually there the night that Mayor Nakano was murdered. Apparently, he was there to pick up Koyuki and her son, only to find out that they were already long gone. Mayor Nakano confronted Gordon, saying that he refuses to let his wife go, that he would win custody, and that she could do a lot better than some old broken-down ex-cop. Jim tries to say that this marriage has been dead and a sham for a long time, and if Nakano knew what was good for him, the only healthy thing to do would be just to let his wife go and start over. Even claiming that it was his cold, distant behavior that's the real reason behind Koyuki's long-standing depression and nothing to do with postpartum. It's after that things get very personal, as Mayor Nakano says that Jim Gordon is poison, that one of his kids is crippled, one of them is a serial killer, he has 1 divorced wife and 1 dead wife under his belt. And it's at that point everything truly spirals out of control. Fists are thrown, guns are pulled, though we never actually see Gordon himself pull the trigger. In fact, he is very defiant, even under interrogation with Bullock, that he doesn't actually remember pulling the trigger and that he is sure that Batman will find the very important piece of evidence that will end up exonerating him. Obviously, Batman refuses to believe that Commissioner Gordon could ever be capable of such a crime, especially as a result of some sort of lover's quarrel. In fact, all of this ends up really weighing heavily on the Dark Knight's mind. As you'll recall in the last issue, Bruce had also come to the horrifying realization that his own father might have been a philanderer. Taking all of this together, Batman ends up having a really Freudian nightmare featuring both of his major father figures, with the major exclamation point being that perhaps he is the only good man left in Gotham. Then, of course, there's still the matter of the Riddler enigma tech. He was attempting to try and take controlling interest of Wayne Enterprises and force a merger. Though now with Mayor Nakano dead and the much more amenable Mayor Hogan installed, it looks like Nigmatech is going to have the roads cleared for their big-time expansion. This means that Edward no longer needs his mole inside Wayne Enterprises. In fact, he doesn't even really need to buy up the shares anymore. But he's gonna try and make a go of it anyway as part of a much bigger power grab. Granted, Bruce hasn't actually sold these shares yet to his supposedly secret brother, and when he goes to try and meet this guy at his apartment, we can see that Leonid and the Court of Owls are already watching over this guy. Bruce even ends up getting beaten down by Leonid's security detail, but thankfully he's able to put a tracker on the guy. According to the court, the only way that Bruce will actually be able to meet his supposed half-brother is if he's willing to sell the shares to him face to face. Now, after so many big high high-profile L's in a row, Batman could certainly use a W right now, and because of that, he returns to the Nakano residence to once again go over the scene of the crime to look for that last piece of evidence that eluded him. And indeed, when he's not having a gun pointed in his face, Bruce is able to find something he didn't see before, a plastic casing belonging to some sort of recording device, which is strange because seemingly all the security footage was wiped from the Nakano residence. Batman thinks he has everything he needs to finally blow this case wide open, but unfortunately, if he's going to do this, he's going to need to sit down and confront Jim Gordon once and for all. And indeed, things don't look good right now. Batman was sure to look at all the different security footage from all the different ring cameras in the area, and he just so happened to snap a photo of Gordon destroying evidence. Of course, that does beg the question, if Gordon really did do this, then why was he so sure of his own evidence, and why was he even more sure that Batman would end up vindicating him? Well, maybe on some level, Gordon didn't want to believe he was capable of this, maybe he didn't remember it, and maybe he thought that Batman showing him the evidence would be enough to finally make him believe. And yeah, it seems like they're gearing up for a real bad downer ending here. Jim Gordon is a killer, nothing is sacred. Batman has had his heart broken by his two major moral role models in his life, but wait, there's more. Time for the final act, Sherlock Holmes big twist. You see, Batman realizes that there's something wrong with Gordon's glasses. They're not the traditional pair that he normally wears. He had broken them and got a last-minute replacement. Bruce looks inside the glasses and sees that they are absolutely loaded up with Mad Hatter tech, the kind used to control people's minds remotely. But wait, why would the Mad Hatter want to mess with Gordon and kill Nakano? Well, the answer is he wouldn't, but the Riddler, who as we found out in the previous issue had been repurposing tech from old villains, absolutely would. Hell, in classic Riddler fashion, he even went the extra mile to sign his work too. You know the big billboard for Enigma tech outside his front office? Well, there's that big arch there that looks like a T. That's because you're supposed to read it all as one word, Enigma Tech, as in Jervis Tech, the Mad Hatter. Batman might very well have solved the case, but as the comic comes to a close, things might already be too late, as the room is swarmed by cops working for Vandal Savage looking to hang Gordon and by extension Batman from the highest tree. And so that was Batman issue number 155, and once again I'm happy to say that I am incredibly engrossed by this ever-expanding murder mystery. I gotta say, I was pleasantly shocked and surprised by all the different twists and turns that this one took, as well as feeling myself get very invested in this whole moral journey that Batman is taking as a character, as he is both, questioning his own choices and the choices of those who have come before him. You rarely get a Batman story where the character tries so hard to be reflexive, to look back. Hell, if they can stick the landing too, this might actually be the best, most interesting, and most fun Riddler story we've seen in a very long time, even if to complete this big plan he had to also steal some Mad Hatter tech, but hey, you know what, a win's a win. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a very positive 8.5 out of 10, and I can't wait to see how this arc ends up shaking out. I think it might very well be Chip Zdarsky's best, or at least my own personal favorite. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.